ladies as they act out the great myths of love and war. Sound familiar? Now, Disney's Pinocchio story begins as Pinocchio wishes upon a star for his creation to live. The blue fairy approves the wish, pending spiritual growth on Pinocchio's part. He has to become brave, truthful, and unselfish. But Pinocchio lies, he gets caged, he skips school for Pleasure Island, starts evolving into a donkey, then he escapes, and he joins Geppetto in the belly of a whale, and he builds a fire, making the whale sneeze so they all escape. Pinocchio becomes brave, truthful, and unselfish, and the good fairy makes him a real boy. Now, the people that Emerson warned us about, who know better than we do what we should do, I'm calling this the negative psychiatric story about Pinocchio and Geppetto. They would see Geppetto as, one, too old to parent, to create, or even to live alone. Two, deluded to be so joyful pending a reality wake-up call. 3, only an old man living in a world of dangerously talking animals and puppets. And 4, dangerously excessive in his love and caressing of his pets and creation. And their disorder entering in DSM-4 classification, Geppetophilia. Yeah. So I find the only guide I need, and I think all of us would need, to know when to rely on self or which other, is to follow the 7 words of Jesus. By their fruits you will know them. His metaphor of knowing trees by their fruits tells us how to know teachers and story and advice by the results. Require ripe fruit results to know to know truth in teachers. Ask how does that work for you and act accordingly. So remember, use the 7 words of Jesus, not the 7 words of George Carlin. The basic love story is the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Atoms form molecules. 1 proton and 1 electron make a hydrogen atom. Hydrogen atoms are 2/3 of the atoms in our body, which number 7 times 10 with 27 zeros. 7 billion, billion, billion. And the atoms in each of our body are once in the body of everyone who ever lived, from Jesus to Hitler. So we're sharing our organs with each other all the time. Your first soulmate date may very well have been at the Big Bang. You recall that one hot hydrogen atom with the cute little electron? We're all stardust. Our smart cells tell a great story. Life versus death, strong versus weak, attract, divide, migrate, fight cell wars. Cells even organize organisms, and orgasms. And there's 37 trillion cells, and all 7.5 billion people living on Earth. And the Earth is full of the cells of other creatures and mountains and oceans. And the size of our sun is 1 million Earths full of dancing fire cells, yet smaller than the average star. And there's 100 million stars in each of a trillion galaxies. Emerson says, explore the double, quadruple, centuple, hundredfold, and much more manifold meaning of every sensuous fact. So I'm calling that the omnipresent, multi-layered, universal metaphor. It includes all those cells, but let's start easy and just find 3 more meanings to one story. Say the myth of the Trojan War. On the left there, that's the Trojan horse, okay? So one meaning in the myth of the Trojan War is human conception. Because in that war, the gods took sides, and so do a man and a woman play gods when they're making love. To choose a baby, they favor the Greeks. For contraception, they choose Trojans. And remember, we all come from a long line of winners. Every dad had to beat a quarter million sperm in a dark uphill swim. Okay. So the second meaning of the Trojan War myth is the first football game. The Spartans had to beat the Trojans, so they used the Trojan horse as the first quarterback sneak. And then, if I had my red laser, I'd show at midnight at the top of that wooden horse, a little door open, and the Greek soldiers jumped out. And when the first Greek feet kissed the sacred soil of Troy, all the gods said, touchdown! And the third meaning of that myth I would call safe snacks. Not safe sex, safe snacks or meals. Because Troy is like the human body who is totally unaware of what it's eating, doesn't bother to read the ingredients, and sad ending. Troy suffered fate, clueless body repeats. Toxic treats that at ease cause demise. And battered wife strike at night to rewrite famous fight of Washington's Christmas surprise. A story emerging in Emerson's life was Charles Dickens's A Christmas Carol. And the character of Scrooge is an archetype role model for personal transformation. Scrooge's life review led to spiritual healing and revealed his true story. I can identify with the character as recent events reflect my own poetic journey. So please time travel a bit with me and my ghost of Christmas past. Christmas 1947, I'm not even born yet, I'm in my womb with a view. 4 months after conception. But more recently, I became aware of what happened because my life is bookended by two Helens. Holly's name is Helen, and so is my mom. And they inspired meaning in the myth from the cradle of Western civilization, ancient Greece, Helen of Troy, whose face launched 1,000 ships. But Helen of Wilmington made the egg that launched 250,000 sperm. Not too shabby, Mom. Okay, now, you see the picture in the lower left? That's me in Catholic school. And in first grade, my brother had taught me to recite the Gettysburg Address. And so I recited it for my delighted teacher, Sister Georgine Marie, who sent me around the school to recite the Gettysburg Address in grades 2 through 8, which I believe seeded my Lincoln connection to bloom later last year in my Awakened Heart Roots of Science of Mind course with a paper I wrote ending, and I know that the law of the Spirit, by the Spirit, and for the Spirit shall forever flourish on the earth. Okay, Christmas 1967, the picture in the lower right, I looked and sang like a Beatle. Well, I tried to sing like a Beatle. But I heard the call of talent to co-create unique lyrics to Beatles tunes and serenade my classmates, especially the smart kid who sat before me during the exam week. Yeah, you got that answer that I don't understand. I can't see that answer until you move your hand. I want to move your hand. I want to move your hand. Christmas 1976 was the last of my 5 Christmases living at Kripalu Yoga Ashram, when my mom's Polish genes finally inspired me to lead 200 yogis in a new kirtan chant. Move over, Hare Krishna, make room for the Shiva polka. Roll up your bedroll, we'll do some yoga today. Don't be a dead soul, wake up to Lord Shiva's way. And cash in your troubles, give up a worry and fear. Om Namah Shivaya Shivaya, and the gang's all here. Christmas 1977, my first Christmas after Kripalu Yoga Ashram. I'm back in Delaware. I'm in the humbling role as a midnight security guard. And I'm inspired to reframe and download the archetype of the security guardian worthy of his own Christmas carol, O Rent-A-Cop. Oh, Rent-A-Cop, oh, Rent-A-Cop, how many burglaries do you stop? Christmas 1979, the first of my 31 Christmases serving at Delaware Family Court. I'm inspired to remind my coworkers of Santa's annual visit to the courthouse in my poem, A Visitation from Judge Nicholas. And then in a twinkling, I heard on the roof, do you now swear to tell the whole truth? Christmas 2013, my first Christmas with Holly. And we're visiting Washington's Crossing reenactment of Washington's Christmas of 1776, when he surprised the Hessians at Trenton, capturing 1,000 of them. And then on January 4th, he defeated 500 Brits. To reframe the 12 days of Christmas, on the 5th day of Christmas, George Washington gave me 5 old world kings, 4 crossing boats, 3 Frenchmen, 2 German rums, and 1,000 captured Hessian enemies. Christmas 2014, teaching Yeshua Yoga inspired by Jesus. I teach the camel pose through a patriotic melody for Jesus teaching non-attachment through the model of camels who must kneel to unattach and drag their backpacks through a Jerusalem gate called the Eye of the Needle. And yes, you knew of camels who show how to walk that talk at city gate, detaching freight through Eye of Needle walk. Christmas 2015 and much of 2016, Holly and I lost a sad handful of friends and family to death. But Spirit's Call of Talent and Beatles music inspired songs like Diane's Free to Let It Be and Leslie in the Sky with Diamonds. So we made CDs for our friends using the record label Gerry and the Grief Busters. Our business card said, when you're feeling grief and you want relief, who you gonna call? Grief Busters! So now, as Lisa Renee's moving voice recalls the teachings of Jesus to the tune of Amazing Grace, let's attune to our ancestral devotional legacy in the energy of awe, the loving devotion invested into this music by all who ever sang this old hymn for over 2.5 centuries. As we merge our stories with a reformed slave ship captain, for we too were lost, but now we're found. We were blind, but now we see. Namaste.
Namaste.